Can we get an update from you on the budget? And would you sign a budget that had no tax cuts in it if the House and Senate agreed to it?
You know, I'm glad you asked. I thought this question might come. Okay. Can everybody see this okay? I'm sorry, we're going to block you out of this shot.
That's all right.
So I'm not going to speak to whether I'm going to veto or not veto the budget at this point, but I've been very clear. My priorities are this. Let's make sure that we protect the future of Oklahoma. I think Oklahomans know as a businessman governor that we've got an amazing economy, and our economy's been doing great. But we can't just keep spending every dime that we have, or we're going to put ourselves in a bad situation. So I said three things. Number one, let's not spend more than reoccurring revenue. So in other words, if you have an income, most Oklahomans know that, you can't spend more than your income, okay? So that's one thing. Secondly, let's make sure we have a good savings account. Let's keep around $5 billion in our savings. We've had this record savings account. And then the next thing is inflation is hurting Oklahomans. Our buying power has gone way down. We got the grocery tax done, which alleviates so much. We were only one of 12 states that did that. But it's time that we do a tax cut for Oklahomans. And I'm talking about income tax. And let me tell you why this is important. I just talked to someone who had a job offer to move to Oklahoma, and they were in San Antonio, Texas. They said, we're excited about the opportunity to move to Tulsa. However, we're not excited about going from zero income tax to now we're having to pay 4.75. So employer in Tulsa, you're going to have to up your offer to me because you've got to make up the difference. That's a real world example of what Oklahomans are facing. So now, did you know Arkansas just lowered their income tax? They're at 4.4%. So now, if we want to hire somebody from Arkansas, we have to raise their salary and pay them more to make it equal for them to move to Oklahoma. Colorado is at 4.25%. Louisiana is 4.25%. Iowa just went to 3.99% in 2026. Kim Reynolds signed that, Governor Reynolds in 2022. Texas, as we know, is 0. So my point is, Nebraska is also doing it. When we have excess revenue, we have to continue to choke off government, not grow government. Government is not the answer. And so this little budget shows you exactly where we're at. Here's our reoccurring revenue. That's our income. It's about $11.4 billion, all right? So that's how much we have as a state. Last year, our flat budget, in other words, all of our agencies, we spent $10.8 billion, okay? So that's ongoing expenses and obligation. So the Senate tried to confuse you to say Governor Stitt's trying to cut agencies. Remember them saying that? Where are the cuts coming from? Y'all remember them asking that question? There are no cuts. So this is the funny math that sometimes big government uses. I'm not cutting anything. I would never suggest that we're cutting something. I'm just saying let's not grow it. So we have $600 million to play with. We absolutely can modestly grow government. Let's increase government another $300 million, but let's do a $300 million tax cut. We can do 1/4 point. We could flatten the bracket out. My latest proposal is let's leave the top bracket alone, 4.75, but let's take away any income tax that the poorest Oklahomans pay. So in other words, if you file jointly at $27,100, let's just take that away. There are no taxes until you hit above $27,100, and that would be just a true flat tax, and it helps the poorest Oklahomans the most. So these are the numbers, and I don't know how you can argue with that, but so I would hate to see the legislature just taking our last year's expenses and just raising them up and meeting that, and then we have no way to cut taxes. So you can't go through and try to play Santa Claus and I'm going to go through line by line and I'm going to do this and this and this and this and I'm going to raise all these good things because they're all good things, and then say, oh, well, sorry, Governor, we don't have any room for tax cuts because we've spent all the money. I think that's the backward way to budget. I don't think business works that way. I don't think government should work that way. And remember, I wish I'd have brought my other graph. We've gone from about $6 billion in appropriations to last year, and I'm going to get confusing just for a second, we appropriated $12.9 billion. Why is it more than this? Because those were one-time items, all right? So we're taking savings and we're just investing strategically in one-time items. So I'm okay with investing in one-time items. I just don't want to increase the ongoing base level expenses of salaries and operations above what our reoccurring revenue is. But if we've got excess savings, it's okay to invest that in certain situations.